Hey everybody, welcome to the Golden Hour. I'm Kelly Woodman,
And I'm Leah Catherine Williams.
and we just wanted to wish you guys a happy new year.
Yes, Happy New Year. Woohoo! We made it.
We made it, 2021 coming up.
Yes. So we just have a short episode today. We're gonna interview my friend Sarah. She runs the organization called Make a Mark, which is a really cool nonprofit that helps nonprofits through working with creatives to give nonprofits free creative work. Anyway, and she's doing a
cool.
lot of other cool stuff too. So I'll let her explain everything in this next interview. But anyway, let's cheers to the new
Cheers!
year. I've got
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year. This says probably wine, by the way. Yay! Happy New
Cheers!
Year!
Happy New Year, guys.
Hey everybody, I've got a friend and really cool person here. We've got Sarah Obenauer on our show. She is founder of Make a Mark. Welcome to our show, Sarah.
Hi, Leah.
Well, guys, this is really special because I actually attended an event that Sarah planned. But before we go into that, Sarah, would you explain to our audience about Make a Mark and what it is?
Yeah, absolutely. Make a Mark is a 12-hour design and development marathon benefiting local nonprofit organizations. And we exist in about a dozen different cities globally. So really excited to see and bring together these two different groups of people that are kind of living in different worlds for much of the year to come together and really create something awesome.
I love it. Yeah, guys, I actually did this in New York City. Side note, I moved from New York City to Chattanooga, Tennessee, where I am now, last fall, and that's where I met her, was in New York, but she happens to be in Chattanooga, so there's just two connections here, which I love. But with our theme today, which is art in 2020, I thought we could have someone on the show that is working with nonprofits and helping them with their creative needs, but also to speak to graphic designers, and she's also an entrepreneur, so we've got a wide spectrum of people who can benefit from this episode. So with that, can you explain a little bit more about what this marathon looks like? I know you've traveled all over the place. Kind of give us a more bird's eye view of what you've been doing with this. You said that the last 6 years you've been working on this. Just give us some more deets.
Yeah, absolutely. So whenever I first graduated from Virginia Tech, shout out to any Hokies out there, I actually went into the nonprofit space immediately and worked at a traffic safety organization for a couple of years. Super meaningful organization, incredible work saving teen lives on the roadways in Virginia throughout the year, but it was an incredibly small staff. And we had very, very little funding for things like graphic design and technology. And so I was actually hired on to do campaigns and programming for the organization. And I loved the work, but I had inherited some pretty old design and some outdated technology. And my boss would say the same thing at the time. We were still getting a lot of materials faxed in, which just seemed outrageous to me in 2012. So we had a lot of conversations. There wasn't funding for design or, to recreate our website, which was basically broken. But, I definitely knew there was a need there, that there was a need to tell the story in a way that was visually compelling, to be able to make any impact at all, to engage with our young audience, to get people interested in and donating and engaging with our programs and just helping save lives. And so I started to dig into design with very little experience in that, and really taught myself over the course of a couple of years, and with the help of my husband, who's a tremendous designer, and really worked to step that up for the organization, but then also see what that looks like for other nonprofits and hopefully make an impact in that way. So all that to say that fast forward a couple of years, and I was moving to a design and a marketing role at a technology company in Virginia, where we were living at the time. And I started having conversations with other designers and other developers about them wanting to find a way to give back to nonprofits, to organizations, to meaningful work in their community, but they really didn't know how, and they didn't know how to do that using their skills. So we had a lot of conversations around that. We looked at the hackathon model that had existed for a while, but we weren't really seeing a lot of strong, meaningful work come out of that could be implemented immediately. So we looked at the model that we thought could work, and we started asking questions of how do we do this with a humanitarian focus? How do we engage nonprofits in this? And can we pair individuals, designers, developers, marketers with those organizations in just 12 hours to create something that could be used immediately. And we did that for the first time in early 2015, and we thought that was going to be a one-time thing, but I fell in love with it, and the people and the structure, and we did that on nights and weekends for a while, and then started to grow it when we moved to Chattanooga, and saw interest from others in other areas. So right now, every single one of our events is led by independent volunteers within their community. We run the one in Chattanooga, which we've been really honored to do, and we've helped support other locations, but we really want to promote that community model of volunteers in the community know what's best for their community. They know the needs, they know how to support them in the best way. So we want to be a resource to those individuals as they're preparing their events.
Yeah. So overview, what all locations have you gone to that you've been expanding to in the last few years?
Yeah, we have been all over the place. We were in New York, obviously. We've been in Chattanooga. Our original location was the Blacksburg Roanoke region in Virginia, which is where we were living. We have been in Boston and Philly, Asheville, North Carolina. We have an event coming up in Charlotte, North Carolina, as well as lots of other locations, but we have one in Brussels, Belgium too, which they've actually done their second event, which they squeaked in early in March. And it's just awesome to see. They're also different, and that's incredible to see, because that's not something that I would be able to replicate in each of those areas, because I don't know that community so deeply. And so to see the interesting twists, the interesting problems that are plaguing those areas that I wouldn't understand. And so it's really opened in my worldview, and I think it's opened the worldview of every site leader, because they've learned from the site leaders that came before them. So.
Yeah. So as far as people that come to these events to hack, I guess, what types of people do you need help with? Like, I know you mentioned graphic designers, developers, like specifically, if you're a creative person, what kind of creative people are you looking for?
Yeah, the idea initially started just designers. And we had a ton of developers that I was working with come to me and say, wait, but we want to participate too. We can build websites. We can do all these things. So we had a lot of design and development projects, a lot of web projects, and a few branding projects. But since then, we've really opened it up to anybody that wants to create for good, that we can find a place for. We are happy to find a place for. So people that specialize in pitch decks. We have people that are so talented at videography. And so that's been a curious one that I didn't have experience in. So I've been able to learn a lot from that. Folks that have a ton of experience in marketing strategy, social media strategy in particular. So we really base it on that location. Everyone gets to decide based on the needs of the nonprofits, what makers can kind of come to the party.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really fun when I did it in New York. You had, I think, how many people were at that event? I guess that was 2 years ago, maybe?
Yeah, there were about, I would say 60 to 75 makers. And then we had 11 nonprofit projects that year.
Yeah, it was really fun. You put me on a team with a few other women who were gifted in other things, and I designed the pitch deck. And they did the website and the logo and all these things. And it was just such a joy. I think Life of Hope was the organization we designed for.
Yeah.
And it was great. It was just a full day, but you had snacks, you had music, it was fun. You picked a really cool location. So I loved it. Anyway, I want to kind of segue into, I'm sure people are thinking, oh, this is a large event. This is 2020. We can't do that. Kind of explain how that looks now and kind of what your in-between stages, because I know people would love to be involved when we're able to gather back together, but what can they do now to help you?
Yeah, I mean, you're totally right. I think the community piece of it, the ability to gather together has been huge. I think that really fueled my desire to continue doing events after the first one. It is so much more than the work that comes out of it. That is huge and impactful, but there's relationships that are built between makers, makers and their nonprofit. And that's a really hard thing to start digesting, how you replicate that in a virtual setting. with so little time. I think it can be done very easily over a long period of time to build that rapport. All the organizers of the events and we meet doing a video chat regularly, and you can build that rapport, but it's definitely been a matter of figuring out how do you do that within a virtual setting within just 12 hours or, a little over 12 hours. Yeah. So right now we've really taken the time to think about how do we keep with the purpose and the intention of what we're doing? What are the little gems that come out of that event that mean a lot to us, that drive the work forward? And how do we still see that come to fruition within that virtual setting? And, I think we're trying some things out. For example, our Charlotte group is actually doing their virtual event, which will be the first virtual Make a Mark event ever done. And they're doing theirs in November. And I think we'll glean a lot of information from that. And we've also been exploring community by community what that could look like. But we're also taking the opportunity to not just jump straight into virtual events because it's something that someone else is doing or it's something that can be done. We're trying to think about, we have this time to pause on some events, to take a moment and think about what we want to achieve into the future. And what does that look like as far as how we structure the organization and how we allow people to engage? Does that mean we're able to connect with more people in more locations? And how do we, as organizers of this, do our best to resource the people that will drive the organization forward kind of to its next phase, what we're calling Make a Mark 3.0 internally, to try to visualize that we have this opportunity to do more and do something new, but to continue to engage still the nonprofits and the creatives. So hopefully have exciting things on that very soon, but are excited to just get back to our nonprofits and our makers.
Yeah, you were mentioning when we were chatting earlier who you like to work with and the types of nonprofits, and kind of can explain a little bit more of like your ideal person to help.
Yeah, I mean, it really so much is about the partnership, which we talk about with our organizers, our site leaders all the time, which is finding the right partner to engage with that's ready to be engaged in the process, that has the time and the energy to commit to a rebrand or a new website or working on strategy. So we look for so much with our organizations. So many people are doing wonderful work. So it's hard to whittle it down to just a few people that we get to work with in each location every year. And we obviously look at mission and impact, but we also look at impact of the project and will it really make a difference to that community and to their audience. But we really want to work with incredibly passionate founders of organizations, really committed staff members of organizations that have vision, higher level vision for what they're going to accomplish within the structure of the organization or further goals that they have for the organization. And so we really look for purpose-driven folks that we can help support in as many ways as we can.
I love it. I mean, that's the vision for our show too, is to interview people with the purpose, whether they're a business or nonprofit. So I bet we'll merge together at some point, probably supporting and
I'm sure
the same people. So, so cool. Well, to kind of end, I'd love for you to just give our audience some tips on how to start a business, any advice for someone trying to start their own thing, whether it's a creative thing. You are a seasoned entrepreneur now, so you've got some advice to give. I'd love to kind of hear what you're thinking.
I think the biggest thing is that we all have tools within our toolkit, whether it's designing or writing or woodworking or whatever those talents are. And those things help us drive forward our work. But to me, it's really thinking about what is the purpose of that? What is your personal purpose? And what are your goals in life? What do you want to achieve with that? And how can you do that in service? How can you use your tools in service of your personal purpose and of the world? What can you do to make a meaningful contribution? And so I always just encourage people to think about everything, all your capabilities, your skills, your guide, your compass in terms of what is your purpose.
Amen to that. I love it. Well, guys, if you are a creative person or a nonprofit, we encourage you to go on her website. We've got it showing up below there, and sign up for her newsletter. So when these events get rocking and rolling again, you can attend them, you can be a part of them and contribute back your talents to the world or receive them for what you're doing. So anyway, thank you so much, Sarah, for being on our show today.
Thank you, Leah. I appreciate it.